ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna had explained in 14 verses from verse 12 onwards up to verse 25. Bhagwan elaborated upon the knowledge of the self. Then Bhagwan gave from 39 onwards, when he changed the topic, he gave another 14 verses up to verse 53, where Bhagwan spoke about karma yoga. In where Bhagwan, in 12 verses, Bhagwan gave praises of the karma yoga, expounded upon the benefits and all those things, praising karma yoga. And in 2 verses, which is 47 and 48, Bhagwan gave what is called actual karma yoga. Now you see, 14 verses Bhagwan gave there, and even though 12 to 25 Bhagwan gave self knowledge, in 30 also Bhagwan summarized the whole self knowledge there, and that's why it becomes 15 verses over there on self knowledge, 14 verses on karma yoga, of which 12 verses were basically Bhagwan was praising karma yoga, what benefits you will reap, what are the kind of things which go on with the karma yoga. And then 2 verses in there Bhagwan gave karma yoga itself, which is 47 and 48. But you see now, in 54, when Arjun asks a question to Bhagwan, poses a question to Bhagwan on the man of realization and the physical attributes and characters of a man of realization, the definition of a man of realization, you see from 55 onwards till 72, 18 verses Bhagwan is giving, explaining and elaborating upon the man of realization. Bhagwan is giving all the kind of efforts we can put towards in a direction that we all can become that. He is wanting us to adopt those things. He is wanting us to look through those skills and try to work towards them. And why he is praising so much? Because Bhagwan says, ultimately, if you all make an effort, you all can move in that direction. So Bhagwan is also enjoying explaining about the man of realization and the beauty of the man of realization, what are the kind of benefits which are there, and all those things Bhagwan explains. So Bhagwan is literally reveling in that thing. That's why he's given 18 verses over there. We'll read the verse and we'll take up from where we left in the last session. Arjuna uvacha sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. This is the verse number 54 where we left last time. And the topic I was discussing before I completed the last session was why Bhagwan is putting so much emphasis, so much, point blank Bhagwan is giving that, putting that effort over there, that we must work towards these two things we need to keep in mind. First is acquiring the knowledge and then making the knowledge firm. And the last session where I left was, I was giving what Tattvabodh talks about, how, the understanding of our, which has become firm in us, how it plays out. And I gave you an example over there of two states of mind, conscious mind and unconscious mind. Now I want to elaborate that also. There I gave you two states of the mind, conscious and unconscious mind, and I put dream state in the unconscious mind. Actually, conscious mind is one thing. Unconscious mind has got two portions in itself. One is called subconscious mind and the next one is called unconscious mind. If you recollect my episodes which I have given in the past, in one of the episodes I spoke about waking state, dream state and deep sleep state. So the unconscious mind, which I elaborated last time, and I put dream state over there, actually dream state is part of subconscious mind, even though the mind is not conscious there. So we put broadly in the unconscious state, but actually the three states is conscious mind is waking state, dream state is basically subconscious mind, and deep sleep state is actually unconscious mind. So these three things you need to understand. Now, when the mind is unconscious in the deep sleep state, the mind is not there, available for any comprehension at all. The mind sleeps or rests, or whichever way you say it. In the unconscious state, that is what which has happened. That's why deep sleep is considered to be a rest for the mind. The next day, if we get a deep sleep, when we wake up the next day, we say one thing, that I don't know what happened there. Aham kimapi na janami, sukhena maya nidra anubhuyate. But I know one thing, that I really had a very, very peaceful and a sound sleep. I rested well. So that's the state of unconscious mind. The point where I left you last time, why I brought the dream state is, why Bhagwan is bringing so much emphasis upon making the self-knowledge firm. That knowledge or understanding about us, which has become firm from many lives which you have lived in the past, is basically Purushoham, I am human. And then, oh, I can say man, woman, and all those kind of differentiation. Then the name and address and all those kind of things. Then Kshatriyoham, Dehoham. These are all the kind of knowledge or understanding of ourselves which is become firm in us. Now, why I brought it up, the point where I left last time is, in the dream state, what happens? I will explain you what happens when this is, vritti or this thought or the understanding of us become firm in us. Since the Purushoham or Dehoham or, whatever name we have becomes firm in us, when we slip from the conscious mind or go from the conscious mind into subconscious mind, when the dream state manifests, just listen very carefully here. I'm trying to bring one point or why Bhagwan is putting so much emphasis upon on making this knowledge firm. You see, whatever is your understanding of the self, which has become understanding of you yourself, which has become firm in you, in this life also, coming from past life also, that is what will manifest in the dream state. Now, for example, I, Anish Chaitanya, a human being, a man by that way, when I go into the dream, I will go with the same identification which is become firm in my conscious state. So my identity with me being this particular body, me being a human being, me having this particular name, when the dream state manifests, with that identity itself, the dream state manifests. It's not that a man in a conscious state will manifest as a woman in a dream state. No, that's not going to happen. Vice versa also. If I have a name, all the events which manifest in the dream state will be circling around my identity, which has become firm in my conscious state over the past life and this particular life. So, unless and until this particular understanding that I am that supreme consciousness, and I told you one thing, Soham Asmi, that vritti, that thought process, that I am that supreme consciousness alone, and my soul or my Atma or myself is that supreme self itself. Till the time that becomes firm, even if somebody slips into the dream state, may have a knowledge of the self, but don't think in the dream state you will manifest as the supreme consciousness and everything will be divine around and all those things. I'm telling you, whatever thought, whatever understanding about you which has become firm in your or waking state, which has become firm in your past so many lives you have lived, that alone will manifest at the subconscious level, or that alone will manifest at the dream state level. Now, I'm giving you an example. Somebody went to Swargaloka, for example, in the dream. So you will see, if somebody has seen that dream, in the Swargaloka also their identity will be that which was there in the conscious mind. The body will look the same and all those kind of things. Their name will be the same, and so and so reached there. And interaction will also be the same. And on the contrary, if something bad happens in the dream, somebody dies also in the dream. I'm giving you an example, met with an accident or something in the dream itself. The person meeting with that tragedy in the dream will also be the same person, and at the level of understanding which that person has about that person in the waking state itself. So the identity doesn't transform there differently. That's why Bhagwan says mere knowledge is not sufficient. Of course, when you get self knowledge will definitely give you benefit. It definitely is a big blessing for you also. It is definitely going to make you vertically grow also. I'm not discounting that fact at all. But if you want to reap the entire benefit of the self-knowledge, if you want to take the entire advantage of the self-knowledge, if you want to reap the pinnacle of result of self-knowledge, then along with gaining the knowledge, we must work hard towards making the knowledge firm also. That is why Bhagwan is putting so much emphasis that even after gaining the knowledge, slowly, gradually work towards clearing your doubt, having a clarity about the understanding what you have gained at the level of spirituality. Then post that, slowly, gradually practice abidance in that knowledge, so that as slowly, gradually your abidance increases, you start becoming firm in that knowledge. When you start becoming, you see, when I say start becoming firm in that knowledge, means what I just pointed about the dream state and waking state is, when the conscious mind thought structure, conscious mind understanding about you, about your own identity changes. At the other levels, which is subconscious and unconscious mind, also the identity will change. I'm just giving you an example. It is said that a man of realization in all the states, we, for us, if we get deep sleep, that's the only time we go in the lap of self for or resting. Okay, for for a man of realization, for a Mahatma, that Mahatma is ever peaceful, ever quiet, ever blissful. Why? Because in all the three states, that Mahatma is living at the level of self. He is seeing the self, he is experiencing the self. He has, he is not experiencing anything but the self, which I also explained in the last session. So Bhagwan says is, in here, that is one of the reason why we must work towards making the knowledge about the self firm in itself, so that our conscious mind structure changes, and the same structural change at the level of conscious mind flows and gets us benefit at the subconscious mind if we have to go. And also at the, of course, at the unconscious mind also. There is a fourth state which is mentioned in Mandukya Upanishad also, which is called Turiya Avastha. Sometime when that topic comes, I'll explain it that time. So this man of realization, slowly, gradually, from waking state, makes the structural change of at the thought level, at the identity level, at the conscious mind. Then that exactly translates into change at the subconscious mind also. Unconscious mind already, for that Mahatma, is going to be blissful. Slowly, gradually, after a long period of abidance and practice, this Mahatma moves into Turiya Avastha. Turiya Avastha is the fourth state, which we call it, where nothing else exists apart from the self. So this Mahatma remains in ever blissful state. In waking subconscious, what happens is, even if somebody goes into subconscious mind, the state at these levels have to come back to a different one. No, so if you can't say that, in the whole life I'll sit down and dream. People may be doing daydreaming, I'm not talking about that, but dream state is also for a particular period in time, right? So is the waking state, and so is going to be the deep sleep state also. Right now we toggle between these three states, some between two states. Says, that's a different thing altogether, depends from person to person. But actually speaking, our amount of time of each of these states is limited per se. We don't have one other state going on all the time. But Turiya Avastha is beyond deep sleep state, where that Mahatma doesn't have to come back into any level. While living in this body also, that Mahatma is always remains blissful. So that's what Bhagwan is wanting us. That's why Bhagwan is asking us that you must keep this in mind, that firmness is something that I would definitely want you all to work towards, is something which you must work towards to achieve. Now, the scriptures say that if such kind of an intellect is born in a person, ऐसी बुद्धि ने किसी के अंतःकरण में जन्म ले लिया हो, if that, which kind of an intellect I'm talking about? The intellect filled with the knowledge of the self. But the only thing is, intellect has already taken birth in that person of the knowledge of the self. The only problem is the firmness has not yet come, right? This is the thing, right? But you can't say that this person doesn't have a knowledge of the self. If at the time when the scriptural knowledge exchange happens, the praman vyapar, praman means the scriptural knowledge I'm talking about, Sanatan Dharam scriptural knowledge, the Upanishads, etc. The, what do you call that? Prasthanatrayi, we call it. Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutra. If at that time, and when this transactional reality is going on, when this transaction of gaining knowledge is going on, this praman vyapar is going on, and at that time, if this person's internal equipment, antakarana, is capable also, is qualified also, then that seeker cannot say that after that entire period of that knowledge, exchange of knowledge between the scriptures, or study of scriptures, or deep study of scriptures, this seeker can't say that seeker has not understood the self or not gained the knowledge of the self. He can't say that I don't know the reality about the self, but he also has not reached the state of what I said in the 11th one, na anushochanti panditaha. He's not reached that state also. This person has gained the knowledge, but not reached at the stage of which Bhagwan called it, panditaha, the one who has gained the panda, one who has gained the brahmagyan. He's not reached that level also, but he can't say that I don't know about the self also. So he is still moving towards that. But so he's not reached the stage of na anushochanti yet. That experience is not there. Now, the reason I am bringing it up here for you to explain before I go into that verse for further explanation is that in the society, there is a very strange kind of phenomenon which is there, strange kind of understanding, strange kind of an impression which is there, that, which is a thought process there in the society, that there are only two states available. Either somebody has knowledge or somebody is ignorant. Now, here in this example, you can't call this person ignorant also, but you can't call this person knowledgeable also completely. So this person is in the process of gaining that knowledge. No, so in the world, in the worldly level and the level of society, there are only two kind of things, either this way or that way. But no, there is a middle thing available for the self knowledge. You can't say that this person is ignorant because he's gained the knowledge already, but you can't say that he's crossed over to become a realized saint also. That also you can't say. So what is that, which is what Bhagavan is trying to emphasize here? If we have done good practice, if we have done diligent practice, if we have done consistent practice of what we have learned from spirituality, what we have gained the knowledge from the scriptures, that at that time, our antakarana, our inner equipment, and is able to gauge our level of achievement correctly. The point is, unless and until you reach that level of gaining knowledge, you can't gauge where you are also. One thing I keep telling, at many places in the group also I spoke about, that, for our self-assessment, first of all, I told you many times that spirituality is not something that you gain for assisting others. Please discount yourself from that. Don't get into that stupidity at all. Don't gain spirituality and try to look at the world and say, no, this person is good. That is not why spirituality is for. Definitely you can understand them and manage your behavior accordingly. That if some person you feel that it's emanating so much negativity, if you can avoid also. Those things you can do, but don't go and use this as a tool to assess others. So what happens? Are we in the stage to do a self-assessment for us? We may not be right now. But when a person is capable or has the required qualification at the time when the scriptural study is undertaken by that person, when that consistent study or deep study of scripture is undertaken, when that person is under a guru, tutelage of a guru, and studying under the guru with complete faith and devotion, at that time, if this antakarana is qualified, the inner equipment is qualified, this person will gain knowledge. That's one thing. Of course, the faith with scriptures and guru is also there, or grace and punya and all other things are there, but this person will gain the knowledge. But then this person has to sit down and independently practice also. And the thing which happens is, in the science world also, we say there are many things which are taught in chemistry and physics and all in the books also, but then students are taken to the laboratory for why? For making that knowledge an experience. Mere book knowledge is not enough, right? Somebody has to who do the practice to actually put into that. That's why there are so many students who go for studies and all, but there are some people who grow well, some people not that much, because that depends on how much skill you have gained with that knowledge to put that knowledge into practice. Here, the state which Bhagwan is talking about is, if somebody after gaining the knowledge with the required qualification of inner equipment, makes a consistent effort to do practice of that, at that time this person can do some level of self assessment himself or herself, that am I going in the right direction, what exactly I need to put. Yes, wherever that person finds that that person is not able to assess, can definitely fall back upon the guru, and that is the kind of a relationship, that is the kind of a thing which is there between a student and a guru. That is why I told you, without a guru, self knowledge according to our scriptures is not possible. Scriptures are not for self study. I'm telling you one thing honestly, which I spoke about in the group also. Our Sanatan Dharam scriptures are definitely not for self study, because there is a very, very high danger that with your kind of culture you have gained, with the kind of knowledge you have gained, with the kind of intellect you have gained, there are very high chances living in this world that we may misunderstand or completely misinterpret scriptures. And I told you, ignorance can be removed, but if somebody gets incorrect knowledge, that's very difficult. It requires a lot of effort to change. You see around the world, why should I bring it up, there are so many things going on in the world. You open the YouTube, so many people speaking about it, some correct, some completely incorrect, some inconsistent, some don't even know what they're talking also. There are so many things going on, but the point is, if somebody has done that level of practice, worked hard consistently into that practice, that person can definitely look at himself or herself to measure or gauge where I am. Seeker, when reaches such a state, and after assessment the seeker also feels a little shy, that yes, I can't say that I don't have the knowledge of the self. Feels a little ashamed also, but I can't say that I know the self also completely. Now, the seeker also may think that, I don't know what people must be thinking about me. I can't put myself into the category of a jnani also. I can't say that, a jnani also. So it is better that in the world, let me look like an ajnani only. Ajnani means ignorant only. That, why people will not say that? Because people may see and say that the falashruti, the fruits of gaining abidance in the self, all the self knowledge, doesn't seem to be reflecting out of this person. So how can we say that this person is a jnani or this person is a realized master? So at that time the seeker may feel ashamed that I can't even call myself jnani also, but I can't say that I fully understood self also, and I do not know what to do now. So for outside people I may look ignorant only, it doesn't matter. But when a guru asks this person a few questions, and that the person is feeling that I'm not a jnani because I don't feel any of the falashruti or any of the fruits of of a jnani which is reflected from him, reflecting in me at all. When this seeker goes to a guru asks some questions. Is self a doer? So this person may say, no, self is not a doer. Is there vikar or changes is happening in the self? So this person may say, no, that also doesn't happen in the self. Is the self something which is seen? Is it a drishya? Is it something which is seen? This seeker or student may say, how can it be? How can it be seen? No. When these questions are asked at the level of intellect, at this seeker is giving all the correct answers. So that means by listening, the ignorance has been resolved to an extent, right? Experience may not be there, I'm not talking about that, but the ignorance has been resolved also, right? All the things which are spoken about the self, this person is saying. Then how can you call this person ignorant? How can you call this person an ajnani? But still, this person will answer the same thing. Do you know the self? No, I don't know. In Keno Upanishad, there is a very beautiful question and answer which comes over there. When a guru asks about to a student, have you known the self? He said, no. Do you say that means you have not known the self? No, I don't say that also. So, oh, viditvat aviditvat api. That's kind of a verse which goes over there. So there is very interesting conversation and like that. A seeker may say, I can't say that I don't know the self also, but I can't say that I know the self also, because the results which are achieved by a person who knows the self crystal clear with firm abidance, those things, those kind of qualities are not happening in me. Those kind of qualities are not being reflected in me. That means I don't have that knowledge. That is that correct also, that this person is not even capable to say that I don't have the knowledge, and doesn't have even the ability to say that I have the knowledge. That means he feels a little ashamed of calling himself a jnani also, because whatever qualities are reflected by a jnani is by a realized saint, and whatever qualities are declared by the scriptures about a man of realization, those are not being experienced by this as a seeker. So such a seeker has got the knowledge, but what is lacking in this seeker is a firm abidance which this seeker needs to work towards. Means piece by piece, point by point, pluck out all the kind of doubts which are there, which are the obstacles, which are the veiling portions in veiling its journey towards the realization of the self. For such a seeker may feel that a man of realization will be somebody very special. How can I be that special? When these kind of fruit or results starts to appear in our life, that's when a man starts to feel, yeah, I have started to gain the knowledge. It's a very blissful experience. I'm very sure, or jnanis may say that it's a very blissful experience when some of those qualities starts to appear in a realized mass. And the person who was working towards realization, and then that person says, is if some of these qualities are doing, that means I'm in the right direction. I must work towards it. So you see now, Bhagwan is also reveling in that description, giving 18 verses for a man of realization from 55 onwards up to 72. Sthita Prajna is the word which Arjun coined for such a man of realization. And I told you what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji picked up in his Bhashya, and he's used something called Bahuvrihi Samasa here while explaining the Sthita Prajna Bhashya there, and the Bhashya level. He says, Sthita Pratisthita Aham Asmi Param Brahma Iti Prajna Yasya Sa Sthita Prajna. That's what Bahuvrihi Samasa is about. Sthita Pratishtha Aham Asmi Param Brahma Iti Prajna Yasya Saha Sthita Prajna. So, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is also brought up like that. He says, what is the level of a Sthita Prajna? How do you and when do you call a person a Sthita Prajna? Only when his Prajna, when his intellect along with its memory, along with inner equipment, has got firm knowledge that I am nothing but the self alone. Soham aham asmi param brahma. I am that supreme consciousness alone. I cannot be this mind. I cannot be this intellect. I cannot be this body. I cannot be these kind of identifications which people have forced upon me or the world has forced upon me. I am that supreme consciousness alone. There are two things I will want to bring here. One thing I brought it up in the last session was from Vishnu Sahasranam, and that verse where Bhagwan Vacha says, Soham ekena shlokena stuta evana samshaya. Arjun, the best way to worship me is by having this firm knowledge, firm abidance that I am sitting in you as your own self. You must have all heard this, Nirvana Shatakam. Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham. Na manaha, na buddhihi, na chittaha, na ahankaraha aham. I am not all those things which I currently portray myself as, which I have currently understood myself as. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupa means what? I am that supreme consciousness alone. There is one, there was one disciple, there was one student of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji named him Hastamalaka. And there is a very big stotram of Hastamalaka stotram which is there, available in our Sanatan Dharma, articles and topics in scriptures. Hastamalaka stotram. So the parents of Hastamalak took him to Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji because this person used to walk around, gazing at the sky, being lost in something else, used to lie down for hours together, open eyes, is, doesn't and come up with many active things at all. Rajas was not there much and all. So the mother and father, the parents of this kid thought that this kid is, beyond our effort of, repair and construction and all those things, is beyond our effort of actually correcting this student. So let's take him to a guru and make him join a gurukul. I do not know how parents sometimes think that. So when Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji saw the kid, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji asked the kid, "Who are you? Kosi, who are you actually?" So that kid started with this line, and that, I am nothing but at, oh Swarupoham, and I am that supreme consciousness alone. Nayam manusho nachadeva yakshau na devata, and like goes like that. In the verse, at the end he says that, oh, I am that supreme consciousness alone. Swarupo hamatma, he goes like that. So that's how actually we need to finally reach at the level of abidance. So Bhagavan says, Aham asmi param brahma, I am that supreme consciousness alone. When that thought has arisen and has become firm in us, that's when a person can be called, sthita prajna. And the other kind of words we use for such a person is brahmanishtha, prajnanishtha, atmanishtha. All these words are coined for the same person of, or the person whose knowledge about himself as the supreme consciousness has become firm in that person. And I told you, at the level of conscious mind, the structure of the thoughts have changed. So the subconscious mind will also have the same kind of thought process. Such a person Arjun is calling as sthita prajna, and the second word Arjun uses samadhistha and sthita dhihi. And samadhi word Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has explained in the previous verse also as the self only. Samadhiyate chittam asmin iti samadhihi atma tasmin atmani iti etat. So the samadhi word actually goes for the self alone. So Arjun says, now let's get into the question of Arjun on quickly and see what Arjun says. There are certain things which you need to see. Prima facie, this question may look very simple. But if you take this question very simply, you are actually not doing justice to the level of Arjun. You are not correctly assessing Arjun. So you need to understand, only if why I'm taking so much of time to explain you this is that. From here, the further verses Bhagwan is going to take up in terms of explaining. You need to see what kind of a beautiful teacher Bhagwan is. In the same sequence which Arjun asks, Bhagwan also explains in the same sequence. So you see, as a teacher also, what a kind of attention Bhagwan has given to Arjun's question. Bhagwan is of course the self of Arjun also and everyone of us. So you see the beauty at the level of student Bhagwan has gone into and explained from the place where the student is explaining. So prima facie, if I read, many people and misunderstand this verse also. Prima facie, the literal meaning of this verse may sound, and O Keshava, Keshava is a Stambodhana Prathama here, where for Bhagwan, is the description of him who has steady wisdom. What is the description of him who has steady wisdom and who is merged in the supreme consciousness state? How does one of steady wisdom speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? In a literal sense, we may see Bhagwan. What is the, literal? I'm giving you how worldly people also translate it. They say Sthita Prajnasya Ka Bhasha. Bhagwan, what is the language of a Sthita Prajna? What do you mean by language? Language means what? But is he going to speak in Sanskrit? Is he going to speak in English? Is he going to speak in Hindi? What is going to be his language? Samadhisthasya Keshava, who is also the translated as man in firm in samadhi, who's firmly placed in samadhi. Samadhistha. Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. How does this? What does this man speak? Kim prabhasheta. What does he speak about? Or Kim Asita, how does this person, man of realization, sit? Vrajeta, how does he walk around in this whole creation while he's living in this world, in this whole world? Vrajeta Kim. So, if we take this literal meaning, then that is not the correct way of assessing what Arjun's question is. Now, the actual way I'll tell you, which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has also picked up, the word here when Bhagwan says, when Arjun says, Sthita Prajnasya Ka Bhasha, this Bhasha here is, we need to translate this as Sthita Prajnasya Ka Paribhasha. What is the definition of a Sthita Prajna? Bhagwan, what are the qualities of a Sthita Prajna? How do you define Sthita Prajna? That's one way to assess this particular question. I'll pick up now what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is also explaining in this point. So one way is, let's leave aside the literal meaning, what I just mentioned few minutes back. Let's get into the deeper meaning of this. So this word, Sthita Prajnasya Ka Bhasha, we must translate it as Bhagwan, oh Bhagwan, Arjuna is asking to Bhagwan, hey Keshava, the person, a man of realization, who is now, which you said in the last verse, with three terms, yada buddhi nischala sthasyati, samadhavachala buddhi, yogam avapsyasi, that particular person, Bhagwan, what is the definition of that person? How do you define such a person? Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta. Now, how does this person speak is another way to look at it, but I'm coming to that point now. Kim asita vrajat kim. Let me just take the detailed meaning only. To explain this, let's not go into too many meanings also, it's not required. Let's go into the meaning how Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has picked up. So the first point, Sthita Prajna, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji said, Sthita Pratishtita Aham Asmi Param Brahma iti Prajna Yasya Sa Sthita Prajna. That's the definition of Sthita Prajna which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji gave. Tasya Ka Bhasha. Now from here, where Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is picking up the first quarter of that verse, was that Arjun's question Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is translating. You see what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is translated here. Tasya Ka Bhasha Kim Bhashanam Vachanam Katham Asau Parehi Bhashyate. How is this man defined by others in the society? Now here, Parehi means not by that person himself or herself, by other people. How is this person defined? How is this person looked at? What is being spoken about this person? What are the kind of qualities which are looked at in this person? Parai bhashyate. Now Parai has got two meanings. First is Parai, when we say Parai, one way is to see that how the world talks about him, how the world defines him, how the society defines him. Now society, I will not give the key of defining him to everyone. The point is how the intellectuals or the buddhijeevi in the society define him, how the intellectuals talk about him, how do they see this person, how do they call this person, what do they call this person, what qualities do they see in this person. So paraihi bhashyate, one meaning is that. Another meaning of paraihi is in the scriptures, how is this person defined? Bhagwan, you know all the scriptures, you know everything in this whole creation, you are the one who is in and out of the scripture totally. So who will understand the scripture better? So Bhagwan, tell me, how is this man defined by the scriptures? What does scriptures talk about this man? Parehi bhashyate. how is this man being spoken about in the scriptures? What qualities scriptures bring out about this man? Samadhisthasya samadhau sthitasya Keshava. The one who is firmly placed in samadhi. Samadhi means Atma. One who is firmly abiding in the Atma. Such a person, Bhagavan, how is he being seen by the external world? Now that's why there are two places where Bhasha and Prabhasheta comes. Otherwise, when he's is Arjun repeating Bhasha, Prabhasheta, is repeating how this person speaks twice or what? No, that's not the case here. So first is actually Paribhasha. How is this man defined by the intellectuals in the society? How is this man defined by the scriptures of ours? That's first thing. Then the next point Arjun says is, in the next line he says, Stitadi Kim Prabhasheta. When he comes to that level, Kim Prabhasheta, at that time Arjun is meaning, Bhagwan, one, all of us, so to say, we have two ways of definition. One is how others define us, and one is how we define ourselves. Okay, we also should have some understanding of ourselves, no? So Stitadi Kim Prabhasheta, this can be translated, this should be translated in this way. What does this man of realization speak about himself? Speak means not publicity here. Huh? What does he think of himself? Think also is, sometimes it becomes a very derogatory thing. I'm not talking about the egoistic thinking about something that I'm separate from someone or something like that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What is the level of clarity of this person about himself? How does this person see himself? That is what Kim Prabhasheta means. Now let me take up the other two portions also before coming back to Bhagavan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya. Two things Arjun says here. Kim Asita Vrajeta Kim. How does this person sit, so to say, or how does this person place himself, and how does this person move around? Now, one more thing you need to understand is, in the renunciate world, in the sannyas jagat, there are many kinds of sannyasis. Okay, there are some realized masters. Why should I say only sannyasis? I talk about realized masters. There are some realized masters who don't go anywhere. They settle down in one ashram, in one place, and they just live there till the end of the prarabdha, when the body falls, and they realize from there only. That's one kind of mahatmas. That's one kind of realized masters. There are another realized masters who place some months at one particular place and then they keep moving around. So Vrajeta, we call such Mahatmas, such sannyasis who don't stay at one place, keep moving around. The word coined for such realized masters is Parivrajak. Parivrajak means they keep moving. They don't stay at one place at all. They stay there. For example, while walking, I have, by God's grace, God is so great that He made me meet such Mahatmas who have been in Parivrajak also, who have been firmly placed at one place also. So that's God's grace. I have done nothing to actually meet such great masters also. By seeing them, by looking at them only, we realize where we are and what we need to achieve. We unnecessarily thought that what we are doing is all correct and it's all important and it is good enough for us to spend our whole life doing that, and I'll be comfortable towards the end of the life. All those wrong kind of notions just fish out from us the moment we come across any Mahatma and see them in person. So Arjun is actually talking about Bhagwan, and there are Mahatmas who are placed at one particular place itself. They don't move around at all. The best example I can give you is Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi was in Arunachalam. Ever since he reached Arunachalam, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi always lived there and he attained Samadhi there itself. That ashram is there of Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi in Arunachalam there. So, how does this person who doesn't move about, man of realized stature, a man of realization, who doesn't move around, what is the kind of attributes this Mahatma displays? How does this person live? who doesn't move around also. How does he interact to the world? How does he move about? How does he, do his daily course and all? All those things is what Arjun's question is. Now, in India, especially India is a great country for that, especially for spiritual seekers, it is definitely the blissful place. So in India, you will see we have in our Sanatan Dharma a concept called Chaturmas. There are 4 months. Many Mahatmas in the 4 months, they, stay at one particular place. And after 4 months, they keep move out. Or there are Mahatmas in these 4 months, they don't stay at one place at all. They keep moving, changing, every day. If they find they reach some place and there are people around who respect him and who ask questions to him, that Mahatma may stay there for a day or two to answer questions, teach something, but he keeps moving around. So the Chatur Mas, 4 months, especially it starts from Savan Mas around Guru Purnima and afterwards. The Chatur Mas is there where some sannyasis keep moving, some sannyasis keep staying at one place also. So Arjun is wanting to ask, there are some saints, and so to say, they move around the world giving knowledge. There are so many saints like that also. The thing is, for a saint, please remember, moving around is also Ishwar Sankalpa, Ishwar Karya. Anyway, I'll come to that when Bhagwan talks about in the next particular verse. Let's pick up what Bhagwan is saying here. So Bhagwan, and when the one who is realized master, who is the Pandita you called in 11th verse, the person whose knowledge about the self of he being supreme consciousness is completely firm. That firm knowledge from where a normal ordinary man has become a man of realization. Till now that person was an ordinary man, but today that person has become a Pandita. That is the prajna which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is talking about here. The one which becomes, when it becomes firm, it reaches that level. So Bhagwan says, Arjun tells to Bhagwan, and I want to know what are the attributes which are displayed by this man of realization, how the scriptures or the society or the intellectuals define this Mahatma, what is the definition of such a Mahatma, how does this Mahatma see himself as, what does he think of himself in terms of the level of realization, what is the definition of himself to him, not to be explained to the world, how does this Mahatma, if this person is placed at one place, what are the kind of living attributes this Mahatma displays, how does this Mahatma's life is all about, what are the kind of things this Mahatma does. I am keenly interested in knowing that. And if he moves around, how does he move around? There are so many saints I can talk about, and three saints I'll bring out very, very, upfront. One is Pujya Maharaj Sri Swami Akhandanand Ji. Pujya Maharaj Sri had traveled many places. There are many satsang of his also available in Hindi. Some recordings are very old, may not be so clear though, so to say, but there are recordings available. Many of them are good also. But Swamiji was at a different level itself. The moment you hear him also, you'll realize he's not talking from a humanly level at all. It's completely different level altogether. Another such saint I can talk about is Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. Our Gurudev, in his span till the time before he attained Samadhi, he has moved around in the length and breadth of the world giving Vedantic lectures, talking Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads and all. So such a realized master he was. Another such saint which I could come across is Puja Swami Subodhanand Ji. I do not know, I'm ever indebted to him for what he has given me, because I don't think it would have been humanly possible also to me, not that I'm realized or something I'm talking about, I don't think that, but whatever little I could gain is only by his grace and blessings. Whatever little I would get, and whatever little I'm able to tell you also, it's all his grace and blessing. So there are many saints we can talk about. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi I talk about, Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji also we can talk about, or Vivekanand Ji also we can talk about. So Arjun's interest is now very keen. Bhagwan, are you talking about some hypothetical situation that there is something level but nobody has achieved it? I am interested to know how this man displays. Am I able to see this man in this real world also or not? Am I able to come across such a person in my life or not? So Arjun's question is from that level. So Arjun, you see the beauty of Arjun's question, what I was bringing out to you in the previous session and previous session. How much clarity Arjun has got about what Bhagwan has said and what is his level of focus and attention. First, he could coin 3 terms not related to the terms which Bhagwan said at all. He coined his own term for such a man with whom Bhagwan talk about in the verse number 53. That's first thing. Second is Arjun's interest, you see, now in that same line from the 53, verse 53 onwards, Arjun is keenly interested to know, how do a man of realization look like? How do I see such a man of realization? What are the qualities which a man of realization displays? So you see the interest of Arjun, what a level Arjun is, what a qualified student Arjun is. That's the reason I said if we just literally read this verse, we may not be doing justice to Arjun at all. The depth of this question, unless and until we get it, we won't be able to understand why even Bhagwan is explaining further also, by the way. This question itself is the trigger for Bhagwan to revel and give 18 verses, shower 18 verses about a man of realization. And one after another, Bhagwan kept on talking after that till verse number 72. So you see what a level Arjun is, what a level Arjun has attained. So now in Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya, let's complete that also. Sthita dhihi, sthita prajna, swayam vakyam prabhasheta. You see, how Bhagwan Shankaracharya has translated Kim Prabhasheta. How does a man of realization and talk about himself? What does he think about himself? How does he speak about himself? Kim asita vrajeta kim, asanam vrajanam va tasya katham iti artha. How does he move around and how does he sit it? When he's placed at one place, what are the kind of attributes he display? What are the kind of qualities he display? What are the qualities we can see emanating from such a person? When this person moves around also, what are the kind of qualities we see at the level of interaction, at the level of movement around, at the level of managing through things and all. Also, these two things Arjun is asking here. Bhagwan Shankaracharya is explaining in his Bhashya. Sthita prajnasya lakshanam anena shlokena pritchati. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya culminates this Bhashya of this particular verse as Sthita prajnasya lakshanam, the qualities of a Sthita prajna, anena shlokena pritchati. The qualities of a Sthita prajna, lakshanam anena shlokena pritchati. Arjun is asking in this way, the qualities of a Sthita prajna, through his question, Arjun is wanting Bhagwan to ask. And one thing I already said, and then he says, Yohi adita eva sanyasya karmani, jnana yoga nisthayam pravritto yaha, cha karma yogena, tayoho sthita prajnasya prajahati iti arabhya, adhyaya parisamapti paryantam, sthita prajna lakshanam sadhanam cha upadishyate. Now you see, Yohi adita eva sanyasya karmani. Those things which Bhagwan already spoke about when Bhagwan spoke about giving up the actions or crossing over the actions. And when Bhagwan says Janma Bandha Vinirmukta and all those verses Bhagwan spoke about the one by giving up the actions or renouncing the actions and gets placed, moves in gaining the self-knowledge and gets firmly placed in the nishtha, on the faith of the knowledge gained, and those which Bhagwan has given by giving karma yoga, by karma yoga. So Bhagwan is saying, let's read it this way. Bhagwan says there are two level of people Bhagwan spoke about. Bhagwan Krishna spoke about up till the verse number 53. First level is those people who give up the action, means Sankhya people. Those people who give up the action and renounce everything and reach the level of firm abidance in the knowledge of self, or they gain firm abidance in the self. That's first level. And also the second level Bhagwan spoke about those people who do follow the path of karma yoga, and through karma yoga they gain the necessary purity to prepare their intellect to grasp the knowledge of Sankhya, or the knowledge of the supreme consciousness of the self. and from that path they gain the knowledge and then gain firm abidance. Those two types of people will, Bhagwan has spoken about those two types of people. And their properties, Bhagwan is explaining from this particular verse, which is the 55th verse onwards, up to Parisamapti Paryantam, up till the end of this chapter. Bhagwan is explaining about the different kind of attributes of a man of realization. And one portion of it I've already read. Sarvatra eva hi adhyatma shastre kritartha lakshanani yani tani eva sadhanani upadishyante yatna sadhyatvat yani yatna sadhyani sadhanani lakshanani cha bhavanti tani. I'll just repeat this particular one before I move into the next verse of Bhagwan Uvacha. Here Bhagwan said what? All these attributes are brought about not to give certificate to a man of realization, because that man of realization is in no need of our certificate at all. Those attributes are brought out by Bhagwan as a sadhana, as a direction of effort by us, so that those kind of qualities can be adopted by us and we can work towards displaying those qualities in us or gaining those qualities in us and start abiding in those qualities and living those qualities. Now let's move into verse number 55, where Bhagwan starts to explain in about the Sthita Prajna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Parthamanogataan Atmanyevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnastadochyate. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Parthamanogataan Atmanyevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnastadochyate. What a beautiful verse. Let's read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya also, then I'll take up the meaning. प्रजहाति प्रकर्षेण जहाति परित्यजति यदा यस्मिन् काले सर्वान् समस्तान् कामान् इच्छा भेदान् हे पार्थ मनोगतान् मनसि प्रविष्टान् हृदि प्रविष्टान् सर्व काम परित्यागे तुष्टि कारणाभावात् शरीर धारणा निमित्त शेषे च सति उन्मत्त प्रमत्तस्य इव प्रवृत्तिः प्राप्ता इति अत उच्यते। आत्मनि एव प्रत्यगात्मस्वरूपे एव आत्मना स्वेन एव बाह्यालाभ निरपेक्षः तुष्टः परमार्थ दर्शनामृतरसलाभेन अन्यस्माद् अलम प्रत्ययवान् स्थित प्रज्ञः स्थिता प्रतिष्ठिता आत्मानात्म विवेकजा प्रज्ञा यस्य स्थित प्रज्ञो विद्वान् तदा उच्यते। त्यक्त पुत्र वित्त लोकेशणः सन्यासी आत्माराम आत्मक्रीड स्थित प्रज्ञ इत्यर्थः. Now you see how Bhagwan is answering. Let's pick up the way Bhagwan is picked up. Here in this verse, the Sambodhana Prathama is He Partha, which is in between this particular first half of the verse. Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha. This Partha here is Sambodhana Prathama for Arjun. Bhagwan is addressing Arjun as He Partha. Now I told you Partha means Prithaya Putra iti Partha. Pritha means Kunti ji. Now Bhagwan has got great respect for our mother Kunti, because Bhagwan is very well updated about the kind of struggles she had and what kind of a strong woman she is, how she has fought through all these problems to bring up these 5 children and also never given up in life. In spite of the problems, you see, husband went away after giving these 3 children. The second wife also went away after giving 2 children. So 5 of them is on her shoulder. And what to talk about the environment she had to bring up those 5 of Pandavas. You see, on the house, in the house where she was staying, the only intent of Dhritarashtra and his children were to eliminate them. This kind of a challenging environment she had lived in Hastinapur. In the Hastinapur, when she was living, you see how many times Kauravas have tried to eliminate Pandavas. She has been privy to all those things. Lakshagra happened, Bhim was poisoned. There was so many things which happened. Life has never been without struggle. But the beauty of Mother Kunti is one thing was very, very firm in her. That was devotion to God. And the way to bring out that is only Srimad Bhagavat. In the first canto of Bhagavat, it is elaborately brought out, and there is Kunti's Stuti also coming up there. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha. And it goes like that. So there is Kunti's Stuti also there. So what kind of firm devotion Mother Kunti had? So Bhagwan, by addressing Partha, Arjun, Bhagwan is bringing Arjun, you are coming from, you belong to a family of such good people, such good hearted devoted people, such good hearted hard working people, a family of people who don't give up. They never given up in life. You see the struggle of Mother Kunti, how she has brought you all up. So Bhagwan addresses Arjuna as Hey Partha. Now you see what Bhagwan says. Here there are two words which we need to understand. I'll go into the last quarter first. Bhagwan says, Sthita prajna tada uchyate. That's when this person is going to be called a Sthita prajna. Tada means that's whenever this happens, that's when this person will be called as Sthita prajna. Now, that tada, that when this person will be called, is what Bhagwan is explaining from Yada in the first portion of the particular verse. Bhagwan says, Hey Partha, Yada Sarvan Kaman Manogatan Prajahati. You see, Sarvan Kaman. You can read this way also. Yada Manogatan Sarvan Kaman Prajahati. That's where you can look at it. Bhagwan says, Arjun, a person whenever has crossed over all kinds of desires which have entered the mind of such a person. Manogatan means that which have been residing in the mind of a person, or which have entered the mind of a person. Whenever a person crosses over or gives up or gains dispassion towards all those kinds of desires which was cultivated in his mind, in his or her mind, since past lives also, since in this life also, when a person crosses over all that desires, prajahati, how will that person cross over? Bhagwan, now, crosses over is a quality which Bhagwan is giving. Then when this attribute is shown, this crosses over, or tada sthita prajna tada uchyate. But how is this person able to cross over? That line Bhagwan is giving in the third quarter. Bhagwan says, Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Atmana atmani eva tushtaha tada sthita prajna uchyate. Now see, in the common world, when we think about, in the world when we think about us, let's translate it, first give an assessment of us first. What keeps us in the world is actually our desires, right? Why does a student study hard, does post graduation, gain qualification, gain skill? Why? Because there is a desire to achieve success. There is a desire to gain. There is a desire to become rich. There is a desire to become, established in the society. Desires keep us in the world, right? If a man has no desire, you remember one thing, huh? Bhagwan also picked it up when he spoke about karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Fruits or desires are something which keeps us on the ground. Bhagwan knows this. Bhagwan says, karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetu bhuhu mate sangatu akarmani. Bhagwan said there also, it's not that, remove your attachment from the fruit or result of action, and the next thing which will happen is you will fall into inaction. Because desire keeps us motivated. Desire keeps us moving. Desire actually gives us enough rajas to act. Now Bhagavan is talking about situation prajahati yada manogatan sarvan manogatan kaman prajahati. What Bhagavan is saying, is this kind of a thing? Then why is he even alive? Right? If desire is not there, that is what is the difference between a worldly person and a true renunciate. A true renunciate, while living in the world itself, has crossed over all desires. Because this person has crossed over all desires while living in this world, what the things which Bhagavan spoke about or in the Nir Yoga Chema Atmavan. You remember that verse when Bhagavan spoke about Nirveda and all those situations when Bhagavan spoke about, or Bhagavan said what? Arjun, there are, when a person has moved over all his or her desires and all the desires have been crossed over or completely attained dispassion towards them, this person will, how this person is going to live in this world? This person is going to become a true renunciate for whom Yogatchema becomes my responsibility. Remember that, huh? That's a point I wanted to bring out. There are some examples of some Mahatmas also I'll give you. So here we need to understand, Yada sarvan kaman manogatan prajahati tada sthita prajna uchyate. Sthita prajna tada uchyate. You can say that also. So who is saying this? Brahma Vidya Sampann, Shad Aishwarya Sampann, Shri Sampann, Brahma Vidya Sampann, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna. He starts answering the question of Arjun in the first verse itself. He gives the basic and the core definition of a man of realization, the core properties of a man of realization. When a person, all those desires which have entered the mind of such a person, when a person is able to give up all of them, and remember, sarvan is the word. We need to underline this word. It's not nishiddhan. Means it's not that he or she has given up the prohibited action. It's not vihitan also. Now, for a duty-bound person, what is a quality of a duty-bound person? A duty-bound person will actually give up all the nishiddha karma. Nishiddha means prohibited actions. A duty-bound person will give up all the prohibited actions and will only do those which are permitted. Vihita, those which are allowed, which are permitted for to be done. Only those which are useful for such a person. Only those which are actually to be done by a person. That's the only thing which a duty bound person will do. But a seeker, and a seeker will move into a next level. Now see, duty bound person will give up nishiddha. A seeker, what seeker is going to do? A seeker is definitely going to give up the nishiddha, means the prohibited actions first, and is also going to give up certain vihita, certain allowed actions, certain actions which are in the kitty of that person, certain actions which are to be done by that person, if they seem useless in terms of moving in the direction towards self, जो हमें अनावश्यक लगती है. Anavashyak means those which don't seem to be useful for us at all in my path towards spiritual achievement. For a seeker I'm talking about. So seeker gives up nishiddha for sure, gives up the prohibited actions for sure, also gives up unnecessary vihita, unnecessary allowed actions also. Will only keep those allowed actions which talk to me towards my direction towards the goal. Like I'm giving you an example. When I'm saying unnecessary, I should explain you also. May give up the things which are for luxury and all those things, and keep only things which are there for basic necessity. So that's how you can understand a seeker also. But a realized master, at that level, it is completely different level itself. Vihita is also given up completely, all vihita. Nishiddha to definitely is not there to talk about. So this person doesn't get vairagya or dispassion towards 1, 2 or 3 things, doesn't get dispassion towards only the prohibited action, doesn't get dispassion towards only the things which are unnecessary also. Is dispassion, this person's dispassion, this man of realization dispassion is complete and total. That is what is meant by sarvan kaman. And remember, Bhagwan is talking about all those desires which have entered in the mind of this man from previous lives also and in this life also. Now just think one more thing. In the BMI chart, when a realized saint reaches this level of Sarvan Kaman Manogatan Prajahati, just think, is there any space for vasanas to manifest? No. That mind where the desires used to be there, from where vasanas used to manifest and act, push us to the action in the world, that desires are completely gone. So vasana actually gets a desert land where nothing can sprout out, where nothing can grow. This moisture is completely gone. So nothing can sprout in the intellect of such a man of realization. That's why that person is called Jnani, Bhagwan wants us that these characters we should all start to work towards and all start to gain in us. So Bhagwan is saying from here, Arjun, yada sarvan kaman an manogatan prajahati. How does this person reach that level? What is the level of this person, and why is he able to give up? In what context and how is he capable to give us? Because atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Tushtaha means contentment and fulfillment. Just giving you a small comparison. Look at us running after so many things also. So many things we have gained in life. But alas, fulfillment and contentment is still far from us. Every day wake up with so many desires unfulfilled, so many desires still to be fulfilled. But once it is fulfilled also, we don't feel that it has actually reached a level of contentment and fulfillment for us. It doesn't give us. This person is Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. This person is fully contented, fully fulfilled within himself, by himself. What a level of a man. Can't even think of such kind of an achievement. So 3 kind of people I spoke about till now. Okay, one is a person who is duty bound. We can call him sadachari, or who's continuously work towards his or her own improvement. Sadachari we call it. Wants to continuously vertically grow in path, or duty bound also. That's the first level of person I spoke about. And I said that such a person will give up all nishiddha first. Vihit will continue to do. The second level I spoke about was a seeker, a sadhaka, who will give up nishiddha for sure, the one who has started to walk the path of spirituality, who has started to work, put more effort towards vertical growth. That is a person I'm calling seeker. So such a seeker is going to give up the nishiddha for sure, the prohibited actions for sure, is also going to give up those which are obstacle creating, meaning allowed actions. That person will give up. But remember, these two people both are have desire still, because the Jeev Bhav, or the thought of me being a being is there. I am Jiva is there. The Jeev Bhav is remaining in them. But the third level I spoke about is about the man of realization. For such a person, man of realization, the Jeev Bhav is not there. So such a person, Nishiddha is definitely not there. Vihita is also not there. And that's why Bhagavan has coined the term called Sarvan Kaman Prajahati. Means what? Whatever desires could be there in the mind of such a person, whatever whatever desires were there and whatever desires could be there, all those are completely given up by this person. Now there is a point which I am going to bring out towards the end of the session today, that just step back and think, is it really technically possible to give up all desires? Is there something like that, such kind of a level? Is it possible? Is somebody ever, for anybody, such a level is possible to achieve for anyone? If we see Mahatmas also, I'm just giving you for a comparison's sake here. Mahatmas also, when we see, Puja Maharaj Shri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj, who's the Parama Guru of, Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, he also used to say that I want to visit Kailash. He's written a book also on that, his travel in the world and all. Well, he also had desire to go to Kailash. He wants to visit to Tirth places, Gangotri and all other places also. How is it possible that there can be a man, and after living in this world can be completely devoid of any kind of desires? Just think of one more thing, as a comparison I'm giving you. Even Bhagwan, when he takes avatar, when he takes incarnation in the world, so many actions are done by Bhagwan. No, I'm just giving you Bhagwan Krishna's avatar itself. He, had played in Vrindavan also. He had, done and stealing of butter also, clarified butter also, and done those leelas also. He has killed Kansa also. Now the beauty of Bhagwan's action is very different. I want to bring out also. You see, the way Bhagwan works is so beautiful. For killing Kansa, Bhagwan had made such an arrangement that at Kansa only had to invite Bhagwan. So Kansa sent Akrur with the invitation to Bhagwan to be killed by him. So that's the Leela of Bhagwan. And just see, after killing Kansa and establishing the kingdom and giving up the kingdom of the Mathura, Bhagwan first thing he did was inquired and sent Akrurji to the Hastinapur and inquired about his aunt Mother Kunti, how is she and all. He was in Vrindavan also. At that time, Bhagwan was doing his own Leela. He never came this side. So, there are two kind of thought process which goes in our scripture world also. Some says that, Bhagwan Krishna never left Vrindavan. There are saints who say that also. There are books also written on that. Because they say, you see the personality change. The Bhagwan Krishna of Vrindavan is completely different from Bhagwan Krishna of Mathura or Dwarka. Bhagwan Krishna of Dwarka, so to say, completely different, very different, matured, or as a ruler and all those things. So they say that Bhagwan never left Vrindavan. So what went and killed Kansa and other people was actually the chaya, the shadow of Bhagwan Krishna. There are bhakti people who say that also. That's something to rejoice upon. Actually, there are all kind of devotional statements which come out of people. We should all enjoy them rather than doing any kind of fault finding also. But I'm just saying, so Bhagwan says is, how is it really technically possible? We see that there are Jnani Mahatmas also, realized saints also, who have, we see them acting, and if they are acting, that means they are acting out of some desire. If a Mahatma is visiting Kailash, of course the desire must have come, otherwise the trek to Kailash Mansarovar is so difficult. Why will somebody undertake that difficult journey if there is no desire to do that? So that is the reason why Bhagwan has kept the word Tushtaha here. One example to give you before I complete the session today is, for example, if you're feeling very hungry and you are a foodie also, so to say, and a lot of good food is kept in front of you, how much will you eat? Till the time it is filled up to your neck, up to your throat, that only that much level you can eat, right? And after the food is filled up to your throat, up to your neck, like if somebody gives you your favorite sweet, what will you say? Oh, I don't want. You will show what? Dispassion. Why? Because you're already fulfilled. Fulfillment or non-fulfillment is the key behind somebody running after desire and somebody remaining completely filled with dispassion. That is why Bhagwan used the word tushtaha here. When for such a person whose stomach is completely filled with food, who's already topped up with food within him and has no place for food at all, even something favorite is kept in front of that person will definitely display the qualities of dispassion. No, not now. Oh, no, I don't think I want it. Why? Because the fulfillment is already filled. Fulfillment, I'm not saying that way, but I'm saying it's filled. So tushtaha word is very important for us to understand here. From tushtaha also another word comes is santushtaha. Samyak tushtaha santushtaha. So Bhagavan says, Arjun, here it is possible only when somebody is completely satisfied, contented and fulfilled and reach that level of fulfillment. That is the only time when it is possible. And then Bhagavan says, Atmani eva atmana tushta. That is the core property. That is the core or property of a man of realization. Atmani eva atmana tushta. Prajahati yada kaman. And it is only an expression of that tushtaha. It's only an abhivyakti of that tushtaha. That is not a property of a man of realization. Prajahati yada kaman is only display of that fulfillment which is already there, display of the property of fulfillment which is already there. It is only an expression of that. The actual core property or actual core character of a Mahatma is what? For a Sthita Prajna is what? Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. And that's why Bhagavan says Sthita Prajna uchyate yada tada tushtaha Sthita Prajna uchyate. Sthita Prajna uchyate yada tada tushtaha. And Bhagavan Bhashyakar also writes very beautifully as an Bhashya for this particular line. Bhagavan says, Atma Ramaha Atma Kridaha Sthita Prajna iti arthaha. Remember, Atma Rama. We are what? Vishaya Rama. No, when we say is Arama, Aram means rest also. A state of peace, rest also. One who rests in the self, or one who resides in the self, one who revels in the self, one who Atma Krida, who doesn't play with objects, only plays with the self. Sthita Prajna iti arthaha. Atma Ramaha, one who is reveling in the self, one who is Atma Kridaha, who is constantly engaged with the self alone. Playing with the self means it's not that somebody is playing cricket or baseball or something like that. It's constantly engaged with the self in interaction, in dhyana, in bhakti, whatever it is, always interacting with the self, always self is at the center of every action. Such a person is actually called Sthita Prajna. That person doesn't revel in anything else is what is meant by here. He revels only in his own self. This level of tushti, fulfillment, and in which the self is the actual abode, is the ashray, and self is the cause, and self itself is the bhogi. That is what is called Sthita Prajna. In Granth Sahib, Guru Granth Sahib, there is a very beautiful, quote I have brought out in my initial part of the podcast. Granth Sahib says, "Ram raiya mera saiya, ram raiya bharpur, apai rasya, aparas, apai ramanhar." That's the level of this Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. Ram raiya mera saiya, ram raiya bharpur. my myself, that man of realization is actually reveling in the self. Ram raiya mera saiya, ram raiya bharpur, is always constantly filled with that at engagement with the self. And how is this self? Apai rasya, aparas, he himself is the rasya. Rasya means the enjoyer. Aparas, he himself is the enjoyment. Apai ramanar, and he himself is enjoying. You see, all it's actually called triputi. When we do meditation, and there are three things there. Triputi, you can, any action you see in this world will always have triputi. Let me just take the example of meditation only. There is a meditator, and there is a process of meditation, and there is an action of meditating. Is triputi. You can translate that into any action here. This person, without any cause, without any object, without any situation, is perfectly placed in the self and is reveling in the self. Remember, when I say reveling in the self, the kind of peace of the self, which is called eternal peace, because the self is eternal, when the moment one attains the self, that is when an eternal peace can be gained by a person. That eternal peace is not the state of an intellect or mind. It is not a state to be achieved. Avastha nahi hai wo. We call peace only that which is nirupadrav, which is free from all kind of disturbance, anandmay, full of bliss, and we are fully aware of it. We are fully awake, jagrat avastha. We should be in the waking state at that time. And this kind of a state of reveling in complete eternal peace, Atma Rama, Atma Krida, can only happen at the level of self alone. It is not possible at any other level at all. In reveling in that at blissful self, well, we can talk about when Bhagavan says Atma Rama, Atma Krida, because this person is reveling in the or residing in the ever blissful self, and that too in a completely awakened state. Puja Gurudev used to say, wake up to that state of consciousness, wake up to that level. And because it is free from all kind of attachments and everything, is completely free, it is a level of complete freedom. That's why there is no kind of disturbances there. When such a state is attained, and that is when reveling in the self happens, and that is when, and that's whom we call sthita prajna also. Such a person is called as sthita prajna also. It is the pinnacle of the level of fulfillment, pinnacle of the level of contentment. And when a person reaches that pinnacle, well, and after reaching that level, in his intellect, desires don't sprout at all. In such a chitta bhumi, in such a plane, in such a field of intellect, the desires don't even sprout. Remember one thing, desires sprout only in an unfulfilled intellect. When an intellect reaches a completely eternal state of fulfillment, at that time desires have no place at all, have no environment there at all for it to sprout. Then the kind of things we see a Mahatma doing, in the kind of resolves a great master takes, like Pujya Gurudev built Chinmay Mission. And how do we define that? They are like a, a dry leaf fallen from a tree. A dry leaf doesn't move around on its own. Wherever the wind blows, dry leaves goes with it, travels it. In the same way, a Mahatma also is controlled by the Vayu, by the air of Prarabdha. Prarabdha Vayu controls that Mahatma. Controls means Prarabdha Vayu, or the air of Prarabdha, takes that Mahatma from one place to another, or makes that Mahatma do many things. For others desire, and when the desire is total, samashti desire is there, where samashti parecha is there, where parecha means samashti desire, other people desire, many people's desire combine, and that's when even, and Bhagwan also takes incarnation. Remember, Bhagwan's incarnation is because of samashti prarthana. Samashti prarthana means the prayer of a samashti, of a group of people, and when their prarthana reaches a fulfillment, that's when supreme consciousness, without having in any form, also takes a form. That is not their own desire. If that is the case, samashti prarthana only, if it prompts Bhagwan to take an avatar. Samashti prarthana upahit chetan is what Bhagwan is what is called incarnation. Then, and the state of mind of a jnani is completely different. In the intellect of a realized master, there are no kinds of desire at all. The desire which are portrayed from the such a Mahatma are actually desire of Bhagwan only, desire of supreme consciousness. I would not say desire of supreme consciousness, I would say the resolutions assigned by supreme consciousness only. Why? Because was for such a Mahatma, who's already gained what is to be gained using this body, and there are nothing more to be done, nothing more to be achieved, but his body is available till the prarabdha is there, and his body is fit and fine also, but has got a beautiful intellect to work through. Bhagwan takes over such a intellect and body to fulfill and bless the world. That is one of the reason why a realized saint is also called as Bhagwan's Nitya Avatar. There is one verse which comes in Mundaka Upanishad. Tasmad Atmagyam Hyarchayet Bhuti Kamaha. Means what? Worshipping God and worshipping such a saint and is an equal, the same kind of archana. It's the same kind of prayer. Gives the same kind of result. It is not ought to be putting down or up for someone like that, but that's what the level of a great realized master is all about. So from this master's body, from this using master's prarabdh, using master's beautiful intellect, Bhagwan fulfills his blessing to be given to the world. That's why Guru becomes a Nitya Avatar and is around in the world to actually bless people around in the world. There are some kind of tarka, some kind of arguments which are given. There are many kind of people who write many things also. Some people say that there is only one guru who born at the time of at one particular point in time. Then where is that guru? That guru is me. They say that. And some people say there are 3-4 such gurus born at a point in time. All those statements are not correct at all. Bhagwan can take innumerable form by the way of guru, who at many places they are functioning today also. They are living amongst us in this world and blessing this world also and blessing us also. Rest of this we'll see in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत्।